The world is full of strange places, vanishing ships, moving rocks, forests that mess with compasses. Today we're diving into the top 10 most mysterious places in the world science still can't explain. Ready? Let's dive in. The Bermuda Triangle. Let's kick things off with probably the most famous mystery on this list, the Bermuda Triangle. You've heard the stories, right? Ships vanishing without a trace, planes disappearing mid-flight, entire crews gone, leaving behind only empty vessels drifting in calm waters. This triangular stretch of ocean between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico has supposedly claimed over 1,000 lives in the past century. The theories? Everything from magnetic anomalies that mess with navigation equipment to underwater methane eruptions that swallow ships whole. Some people even blame aliens or portals to other dimensions. But here's where it gets interesting. When scientists actually looked at the data, they found that the number of disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle isn't really higher than in any other heavily traveled part of the ocean. The area has unpredictable weather, deep underwater trenches, and strong currents, all perfectly natural explanations. Still, tell that to the families of the 309 people aboard Flight 19, 5 Navy bombers that vanished in 1945 without ever being found. Sometimes, even when logic provides answers, the mystery just feels real. Easter Island. Let's travel about 2,300 miles off the coast of Chile to one of the most isolated inhabited islands on Earth. Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, as the locals call it. Close your eyes and imagine this scene. You're walking across volcanic grassland, and suddenly there they are. 887 massive stone statues, some weighing up to 80 tons, staring at you with hollow eyes. These moai, carved centuries ago, stand like silent guardians watching over the island. But here's the million-dollar question. How did the Rapa Nui people move these giants? We're talking about a civilization with no wheels, no large animals, and no modern machinery. Some statues traveled over 10 miles from the quarry where they were carved. For years, people thought it was impossible. Theories ranged from extraterrestrial intervention to lost ancient technology. But then archaeologists figured it out, sort of. They believe the islanders walked the statues upright using ropes, rocking them side to side like you'd move a refrigerator. Recent experiments proved it could work. Yet even with this explanation, mysteries remain. Why did they carve so many? Why did they suddenly stop? And what caused the civilization's dramatic collapse? The statues aren't talking. The Hoia-Baciu Forest, Romania. All right, time to venture into what's been called the most haunted forest in the world. Located in Transylvania, yes, Dracula's backyard, the Hoia-Baciu Forest is a place where people report some seriously strange experiences. Visitors describe overwhelming feelings of anxiety and nausea. Electronics malfunction. Photographs come back with mysterious orbs and light anomalies. And get this, there's a circular clearing in the forest where absolutely nothing grows. The soil's been tested. It's perfectly normal. But somehow trees refuse to take root there. Then there are the accounts that'll really make your skin crawl. In 1968, a biologist photographed what appears to be a disc-shaped object hovering over the forest. Locals tell stories of people entering the forest and emerging hours later with no memory of what happened, or worse, not coming back at all. Scientists have tried to explain it away as infrasound, low-frequency sounds that can cause feelings of unease. Others point to the twisted, gnarled trees and say the forest just looks creepy, so our brains fill in the rest. But when you're standing in that clearing at dusk, watching the shadows lengthen between those bizarre, crooked trees, logic doesn't feel very comforting. Stonehenge. You've probably seen pictures of Stonehenge, that iconic circle of massive stones standing in the English countryside. It's been there for about 5,000 years, which means it predates the pyramids of Egypt. Now I know what you're thinking, it's just a bunch of rocks. But stay with me, because when you dig into the details, Stonehenge becomes absolutely mind-blowing. First, these aren't local rocks. Some of these stones, called bluestones, came from Wales, over 150 miles away. We're talking 4-ton boulders transported across ancient Britain without trucks, trains, or cranes. The larger sarsen stones weigh up to 25 tons each. 25 tons. That's like moving 6 elephants. Then there's the question of why. The stones align with the summer and winter solstices. Was it an ancient calendar? An astronomical observatory? A healing temple? Some scholars think it was a place for the dead, a ceremonial site where cremated remains were brought from across the region. Archaeologists have theories about how it was built: ramps, levers, rope systems. But theories aren't certainties. And every time they excavate the site, they find something new that changes the story. Just a few years ago, they discovered a huge circle of timber posts nearby, suggesting Stonehenge was part of a much larger complex. After 5,000 years, this pile of rock still has secrets to tell. The Nazca Lines, Peru. Flying over the Nazca Desert in Peru, you'd see something that would make you do a double take. Enormous drawings etched into the ground. A spider, a hummingbird, a monkey, geometric shapes stretching hundreds of feet across the desert floor. These are the Nazca Lines, created between 500 BCE and 500 CE by removing the reddish surface rocks to reveal lighter ground beneath. Some of these geoglyphs are over 1,200 feet long. That's longer than the Empire State Building is tall. Here's the crazy part. They're so massive that you can only really appreciate them from the air. But the Nazca people didn't have aircraft. They couldn't have seen their own artwork the way we can. So why create something you'll never fully see? Some researchers say they were astronomical markers or part of religious ceremonies related to water, precious in the desert. Others have suggested they were offerings to sky gods who could view them from above. And yes, the ancient aliens crowd has had a field day with this one. What we know for sure is that the dry, windless desert preserved these lines for over 1,500 years. What we don't know is whether we've correctly interpreted what they meant to the people who spent generations creating them. It's humbling, really, to realize that an entire civilization's motivations might be forever beyond our understanding. The Great Blue Hole, Belize. Imagine diving into the crystal-clear waters off the coast of Belize and swimming toward a massive dark circle in the ocean floor. As you descend, the light fades, and you realize you're entering a vertical cave that drops 410 feet into the earth. Welcome to the Great Blue Hole, a perfectly circular sinkhole nearly 1,000 feet across. It looks like someone punched a hole straight through the ocean floor. This geological wonder formed during the last ice age when sea levels were much lower. It was a limestone cave back then, carved out by rainfall over thousands of years. When the ice melted and oceans rose, the cave's ceiling collapsed, creating this eerie underwater chasm. In 2018, a team including Richard Branson descended to the bottom and made a shocking discovery. A thick layer of hydrogen sulfide creates a dead zone about 300 feet down where nothing can survive. Below that, stalactites confirming this was once a dry cave. And at the very bottom, in total darkness, they found, well, the bodies of 2 divers who didn't make it back up. The blue hole isn't mysterious in a supernatural sense. We understand how it formed, but diving into its black depths, knowing that people have died down there, knowing that beneath you is an ancient cave system from a world long gone, that's its own kind of mystery. Area 51, Nevada. We've covered ancient mysteries, but let's talk about a modern one. Area 51, the most famous top-secret military base in the world. Officially, it doesn't even exist, or at least it didn't until 2013, when the CIA finally acknowledged it. Located in the Nevada desert, Area 51 has been the subject of conspiracy theories for decades. UFOs? Check. Alien autopsies? Apparently. Secret weather control devices? Why not throw that in too? The truth is probably less exciting but still fascinating. Area 51 was, and likely still is, a testing ground for experimental aircraft. The U-2 spy plane, the SR-71 Blackbird, stealth technology. These cutting-edge projects had to be tested somewhere secret, away from Soviet satellites and curious eyes. But here's what keeps the conspiracy theories alive. All those UFO sightings in the area can probably be explained by people seeing test flights of weird-looking aircraft they weren't supposed to know about. When you see something flying that doesn't look like any plane you've ever seen, your mind jumps to aliens. In reality, you might have just witnessed a billion-dollar prototype that won't be declassified for another 30 years. The base is heavily guarded. Trespassers face serious consequences. And the government's secrecy, even about mundane details, only feeds the mystery. Sometimes the truth is classified not because it's unbelievable, but because it's valuable. The Moai of Ahu Tongariki. Wait, didn't we already talk about Easter Island? Yes, but Ahu Tongariki deserves its own spotlight. This is the largest Moai platform on the island, featuring 15 statues standing shoulder to shoulder, facing inland as they have for centuries. In 1960, a tsunami triggered by an earthquake in Chile, thousands of miles away, slammed into Easter Island and scattered these massive statues like toys. For decades, they lay broken and toppled. Then, in the 1990s, a Japanese construction company helped restore them. Using cranes and modern engineering, it still took 5 years to put the statues back on their platform. Think about that. With modern technology, it took 5 years and international cooperation. The original builders did it hundreds of years ago with stone tools and rope. Standing before these 15 giants, staring up at faces carved by people whose language we can barely translate, whose society collapsed in ways we're still debating. You realize how much of human history is just guesswork. We're reading a story where most of the pages are missing. The moving stones of Death Valley. Picture a perfectly flat, dry lake bed called Racetrack Playa in Death Valley, California. Scattered across it are rocks, some weighing hundreds of pounds, with long trails behind them in the cracked mud. The trails prove the rocks moved, but there are no footprints, no tire tracks, nothing to explain how. For decades, this phenomenon baffled scientists. Theories included magnetic fields, ice sheets, or even pranksters with a lot of free time. But the rocks continued their mysterious migrations, leaving trails hundreds of feet long. Then in 2014, researchers finally caught them in the act. Using time-lapse cameras and GPS tracking, they discovered the truth. On rare winter nights, ice forms on the playa. When thin sheets of ice break up and are pushed by wind, they push the rocks along the slippery mud. It requires perfect conditions, freezing temperatures, rare in Death Valley, rainfall to create mud, and wind at just the right time. That's why people rarely witnessed it happening. This mystery was solved, but it took GPS technology, motion-triggered cameras, and years of patient observation. It makes you wonder how many other mysteries are just natural phenomena we haven't watched carefully enough. The Mariana Trench. For our #1 spot, we're going to the deepest, darkest, most mysterious place on Earth. And it's not on land, it's underwater. The Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean plunges nearly 7 miles below sea level. If you dropped Mount Everest into it, the peak would still be over a mile underwater. The pressure down there is over 1,000 times what we experience at sea level, enough to crush a human instantly. Only 3 people have ever descended to the bottom: Don Walsh and Jacques Picard in 1960, and filmmaker James Cameron in 2012. That's fewer people than have walked on the moon. What did they find? The answer is both reassuring and disturbing. Life exists even in that crushing darkness. Strange fish, amphipods, and creatures we've never seen anywhere else. But they also found something else: plastic bags and candy wrappers. Human pollution has reached even the most remote place on Earth. But here's what makes the Mariana Trench truly mysterious. We've explored less than 5% of Earth's oceans. 5%. We know more about the surface of Mars than we do about our own ocean floor. What else is down there? What creatures live in the trenches we've never explored? What geological features are waiting to be discovered? The Mariana Trench isn't just a place, it's a reminder of how little we truly know about our own planet. So there you have it, 10 places that prove Earth is far stranger than we give it credit for. Some mysteries have been solved through patience and science, others remain stubbornly unexplained, and a few, like the ocean's depths, are mysteries we've barely begun to explore. But here's what strikes me about all these places. They remind us that knowledge isn't finished. Every generation thinks they've got the world figured out, and every generation leaves questions for the next one. Maybe that's the real mystery. Not whether we'll solve these puzzles, but what new questions we'll discover along the way. Thanks for joining me on this journey. If this video made you curious about the world, hit that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives into the unexplained and the extraordinary. And drop a comment telling me which mysterious place you'd visit if you could, or if there's a location I missed that deserves to be on this list. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the world is far weirder than anyone told you in geography class.